I was thinking about this. This is a little bit off topic, but I think it's important. I was thinking about how much we've come to understood human beings in the last, particularly the last 70 years. So basically from the 1940s on, and just how we understand human beings actually work, and the amount of care that goes out towards human beings in most regions, not all regions of the world right now. There's still lots of places that don't really um, believe in humanity, or the governance structures are fallen apart in some regions of the world, but most regions of the world, we strongly believe in humanity, and that was not the case, more than 70 years ago, especially before, uh, the World War II. Uh, there was a lot different perspective, a lot of different things, and much of that, came from social science that we would consider not necessarily kosher today, but it was kosher back in the 1950s, where we understood that if we do these things and if we behave like we've always behaved in terms of the hard nosed, um, you know, almost cruel way of treating other people, people get messed up. People get really, really they just become giant wrecks. And parenting styles, management styles, a lot of different things have changed, and they continue to change, mostly in a positive way. If you look at what's happening, where, yeah, we do recognize that, hey, wait a minute, people do have feelings. Um, you know, People do have emotions. People are people in many different ways. We need to treat them with respect. We need to recognize the diversity that we have of human beings, both cognitively and sort of external traits of diversity, and all sorts of other kinds of diversity. There's lots of things that, uh, you know, before the 1950s, those would have been very tough things to sort of make a case for. One thing that I was drawing on, and I'm blanking on the guy's, on the researcher's name, and this has really struck me as there was a famous experimenter, and it's actually quite cruel, and there was no way that we'd be able to do it today. But in the 1950s, his name was Harold, I believe. He did a research on parenting, and by looking at chimpanzees, and by looking at chimpanzees, what he did is he had chimpanzees that were given, baby chimpanzees that were given, a cloth baby that kind of looked like them, and another one that was made out of wire. And even though that the one that was made out of wire would feed the baby, that's how they actually, the chimpanzees, and that's how they would get fed, was from the cloth parent monkey, or sorry, from the wired parent monkey compared to the cloth parent monkey, um, which was just there for comfort. The baby chimpanzee would always go towards the cloth covered one, even though that they would get food and sort of nourishment from the wired one. This struck with me. If you look at the pictures of this, you can find it online. It's actually pretty terrifying if you look at the expression of these poor, primates, that when they're around the wired, um, when they're around the wired mother, or parent finger, they were very much um, terrified and very much fearful. And even still, without just the sort of cloth covered one, they were still fearful. But you could see that there was just terror in their eyes. And that, to me, represents parenting, the way that we manage, and how we've sort of changed. And that was really striking for me, as like, hey, wait a minute, you know what? Being caring, being nurturing, being somebody that's there to comfort is a vital part of what it means to be an animal. Human beings are animals like everything else. Um, and I think that those are really, really important. To be there to comfort somebody is a vital part of what it means to be a social being. And we need to recognize that although, you know, you might sort of think, some of you might think that it's, oh, we're too soft and all of that kind of stuff. No, it's actually the complete opposite. This is actually all good stuff that has occurred. Um, People were the humanity before the 1950s. There was no humanity. It was pretty. Uh, it wasn't very good in many different respects. And the world that we have now, just a mere half a century later, is qualitatively better in many different ways. And how not everybody has these experiences. Not everybody sort of actively thinks about parenting and managing and all of those kind of things. And frankly, I know that the world is screwed up, but there's more people today that think about that, and more people today that recognize the importance of just being kind, being nice, being gentle, being empathetic, being compassionate, all those things that you'd consider as quote unquote feminine, feminine traits, is actually really, really important for humanity. And they're not feminine or masculine, they're human traits, and we need to sort of recognize those particular things. It just strikes me and how much we've actually improved, and how much, when people mistreat you in different ways, you got to say, wait a minute, that's not how human beings actually behave. That is a problem that they're dealing with, not your problem. Human beings are nice. We're naturally supposed to be nice, um, and helpful, and actually that's what it means to be a good human being. And we need to remember that. I think we forget that. We think that the world is hard nosed and competitive and all that kind of stuff, which is just patently false. And in fact, I think whole fields of social science are just, at this point, patently false in many different ways. It's just not how human beings actually behave and what we need to strive for. Um, I think we need to really emphasize the fact that, hey, you know what? We need to be kind, we need to be empathetic. And those are vital, important parts of humanity and also business. And it's the driver of business success often. It's a driver of so much success. When you feel like you can actually try something and fail, and somebody's going to give you a big hug for the fact that you tried something, and then try to console you for when you actually failed, and you're going to try that all the time, and you're going to keep pushing at that, and you're going to just keep going. So I just want you to remember that all of that stuff is good human traits. Don't don't let anybody else tell you otherwise. All right, take care and have a wonderful day.